Bangladesh Dile. This is Sakina Bhatt and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama advises on empathetic and compassionate policing. A Tibetan sentenced to 13 years by China, news surfaces after 7 years. A Tibetan tour guide dies from prison injuries in Driru, Tibet. Central Tibetan Administration launches revamped website. Tibet support groups in Japan and Czech reaffirm continued support for Tibet. US State Department joins virtual Losar celebration. Tibet is not just a moral issue but interest of the US. Virtual celebration of Tibet Policy and Support Act 2020. During his virtual conversation with the members of the Indian Police Foundation, His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, "Since the police are there to defend freedom and democracy, it is important for the police to examine their motivation and remind themselves of the principles on which they act." His Holiness lauded the Indian Army guarding the borders and said they are protecting not just the land, but also the culture and values that evolved on this land.
India, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest democratic country, now protect this country. Not just its border or these things, but protect 1,000-year-old India's tradition. Very important. These Karuna, Ahimsa, you see, these Indian tradition actually world need.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama had a virtual talk on empathy and compassion in policing with the Indian Police Foundation on Wednesday this week.
Yes.
In a special video message on the occasion of the 34th annual benefit concert of Tibet House US, His Holiness the Dalai Lama thanked the organization for its substantial contributions in promoting Tibetan culture and tradition.
And some organization like Tibet House is very useful, very helpful to make clear what is Tibetan culture. And those who see people who helping Thurman. So these, I think, gradually will be a sort of informer to new area or west. So therefore, I really appreciate both Thurman, my long time, my friend.
Report of a Tibetan man named Namda being sentenced to 13 years in prison by China in the year 2013 has recently surfaced. After more than 7 years of his reported arrest in July 2013, news have surfaced that Namda is being imprisoned in Chushul prison, located less than 50 kilometers from Tibet's capital, Lhasa. Namda is from Driru County in Nakchu that comes in the so-called Tibet Autonomous Region. He was sentenced for allegedly helping Tibetans escaping to India. According to the source, there were 6 or 7 other Tibetans from Driru who were also sentenced for 13 years imprisonment at that time along with Namda. However, details including their names and charges are still not clear. Human Rights Desk of Department of Information and International Relations, Central Tibetan Administration, has reported that Namda has been suffering from appendicitis and the Chinese authorities barred his family and relatives from visiting him in prison for the past 2 years, most likely to conceal details of his medical condition. A 51-year-old Tibetan tour guide, Kunchok Jinpa, serving a 21-year sentence in Chinese jail, has passed away on 6 February in Lhasa due to prison injuries. Human Rights Watch has reported that he has suffered a brain hemorrhage and was paralyzed. According to Human Rights Watch, Kunchok Jinpa was detained by the Chinese authorities on 8 November 2013 without his family's knowledge. In 2013, hundreds of Tibetans were detained from Driru County after a series of peaceful protests against China's compulsory flag-flying campaign, where the local Tibetans were forced to fly Chinese flags from every house. Kunchok was among the detainees. He was later convicted of leaking state secrets for sharing information to foreign media on protests in his region and sentenced to 21 years in prison. On the occasion of Tibetan New Year, the Central Tibetan Administration has launched its redesigned website, tibet.net, in Tibetan, English, Chinese, and Hindi. The revamped website has new features including improved search engine and downloadable publications. It also includes a newly added virtual tour of the Central Tibetan Administration. The Tibet support groups in Japan and Czech Republic have reaffirmed their continued support for Tibet and thanked the United States on the passage of the 2020 Tibetan Policy and Support Act into law. In Japan, representatives from 12 major Tibet support group and Tibetan Buddhist learning centers took part in the webinar conference. The conference saw discussions on standing against the Chinese government's intrusion into Japanese islands and press for an end to human rights violations in Tibet. The Czech Parliamentary Group for Tibet, in their statement, assured their support until Tibetans are allowed to have a genuine autonomy as proposed in the Middle Way approach. The U.S. State Department hosted a virtual Losar celebration on Saturday last week, during which the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, sent his greetings for Losar and assured Biden's administration's commitment to preserving, protecting, and honoring Tibet's linguistic and cultural heritage. The virtual celebration of Tibetan New Year saw the presence of a number of senior officials from the State Department, including senior official Lisa Peterson, and messages from special attendees, including Representative Modip Siring of Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C., and the Chairman of International Campaign for Tibet, Richard Gere, and Losar messages, greetings, and traditional songs from Tibetans in the North America. The Regional Tibetan Association of Massachusetts hosted a virtual celebration to mark the successful passing of the historic Tibetan Policy and Support Act of 2020 and also to honor Congressman Jim McGovern and Senator Marco Rubio on Wednesday this week. Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Singye, Bethany Paulus, the Foreign Affairs Advisor to Senator Rubio, former Central Tibetan Administration Secretary Dajin Shaling, Todd Reed, State Director of Senator Rubio's office, China Commission Staff Director Jonathan Stivers, North America Representative Modip Siring, Interim President of International Campaign for Tibet Bhuchung Siring, Executive Director of Students for a Free Tibet Dorjit Seten, Presidents of North America Tibetan Associations, President of Regional Tibetan Association Massachusetts Siring Dundup, and other Hill staffers joined the virtual celebration. Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Singye thanked Congressman Jim McGovern for being instrumental in Tibetan Policy and Support Act's success and added that both Congressmen McGovern and Senator Rubio were the prime crusaders for putting Tibet back on the agenda of international forum. The 90-minute gratitude ceremony reiterated the significance of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act as it marks yet another breakthrough in the U.S. support for Tibet and stands as a testament to how the United States continues to be an important anchor for Tibet. So much for this week. See you next time and have a great weekend.